Welcome everyone to the fourth annual IPAWS Users Conference. Hopefully we have it together now. It's our fourth year doing this, but something will invariably go wrong, so just bear with us if it does. I'm Justin Singer. I'll be the host for today. I've been the host the other 3 years, and something went wrong, so we'll see. But again, we have a agenda chock full of information. So we're gonna kind of get right into it. Do want your questions. Please ask your questions. We are recording. We will distribute the recording. And I think with that, there are a lot of people on you can't see. So if you raise your hand, I might not see it. So again, please put questions in the chat. We have people monitoring the chat. And thank you for joining, people from all over the country. And we hope something today speaks to you and you learn something new or reinforce some knowledge that you already had. So with that, I will pass it to our director, Manny Centeno, and our deputy director, Wade Witmer. Wade, if you want to turn your camera on, I'm going to kick you guys off with a couple questions, and then we'll get into the TSSF. So this is a fireside chat, hence a fire.
I feel warm already.
Mission accomplished. Let's go. Wade here. Okay, so Manny, Wade, coming up next year, 2026, 2025, sorry, I'm skipping ahead of here. What are the key strategic goals that IPAWS is working towards, and how do you plan to achieve them?
Thank you, Justin. First of all, thank you, everyone, for being here. To our partners, collaborators, customers, and friends, we appreciate your interest in IPAWS and your usage of IPAWS to keep the public safe throughout the United States. And thank you to Justin, Pam Holstein, and the entire team for putting this conference together. So what do we want to do? Our strategic goals align to improving the usage of IPAWS, how messages are crafted, how they are perceived, and how actionable they are to the public. This is something that we've always had as a goal in IPAWS. We believe that sending simple, clear, actionable messages is the basic feature of IPAWS. Not so much the technology, right? Technology is a tool. People drive IPAWS. And so training is important. We have done some research and have come up with the message design dashboard, which is the result of studies conducted by University of New York at Albany that provide for a tool that crafts cleaner, clearer messages. So getting to you out in the field is one of our biggest priorities. Getting to hear what you have to tell us, receiving your feedback and your ideas on how to best do things that have to do with IPAWS. The other thing that we're doing with IPAWS is understanding and widening the scope of what emergency communications with the public should be. That includes public warning, that includes alerts. Well before you press that button, you hit submit to send out a wireless emergency alert or an emergency alert message, is what do you need to get there? The governance, the policy, the procedures, right? The processes that have to be in place to have a continuous, reasonably reliable and resilient public warning system in your jurisdictions. So we're going to be talking about that as we go forward. That's one of our goals. Our second one of our goal is resiliency, making sure that the system is available to you at all times. That's going to take some thinking outside the box and work with you so that you have a more resilient and secure system at the state, local, territorial, and tribal levels. So those are two goals. I'm going to throw it over to Wade so he can continue on talking to us about other strategic goals that we are working towards.
Wade, Justin here. We have hundreds of alerting authorities on this call. if you had to give them one piece of advice to assist them in better leveraging IPAWS, creating a more robust alerting system, what would that be?
That's an easy one. To lean in on it and practice and take a look at the resources, contact us to give you assistance, getting ready and practice using it before you're in an emergency situation. Think about the areas or reasons why you might have to send something. I actually think it's a good idea to take a look across the country at what other people are doing and what they're sending messages for. You know, you can look at that on a couple of resources that we have available through our website, and think about when you might have to do that in your area, and then practice. Get with us. Let us help you work through your tool and write up some templates, use that message design dashboard, and really be familiar with it before emergencies knocking at your door.
Yeah, and I saw in the chat, practice, practice, practice. They seconded that. Any strategic goals to add to what Manny was saying, Wade?
No, I think really, one of our strategic goals is obviously making the alerting authorities, you guys, our clients, better prepared. And I can't remember the specific words on the goal, but I think it's if it's not number one, it's our number two goal is improving the preparedness of the people who use this system to keep their communities safe or assist their communities get through difficult times, make them better and more prepared to do that when an incident occurs.
Thank you, Wade. And Manny, did you have one piece of advice for the attendees of the conference utilizing IPAWS before we go?
Absolutely. Justin, I can talk for hours, so I'll try to make it short. Yes, in addition to those things that Wade and I just mentioned, is awareness. The public needs to be more aware of what public warning is and is for. We have seen some disturbing trends with folks opting out of wireless emergency alerts, folks not understanding the need to be connected to sources of reliable information to protect their lives and property. And so we're going to be talking to all of you here to seek ideas on how to best approach this. But I'd like to say that to begin with is public awareness, all right? Extremely important that the public knows and demands this type of product. An informed public is not only safer, but it's also better reassured, right? And a community that goes through a disaster, community that goes through a major emergency, recovers better when they're well informed and stay connected to sources of viable official information. So reaching out to the public, conducting public tests and exercises are an integral part to a public warning infrastructure.
Manny and Wade, probably both these questions are for you. I guess the first one is, will the U.S. be moving towards yearly nationwide emergency alert testing like Canada does? And I think Canada actually does maybe twice a year, but Manny and Wade, could you speak to that, please?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a first stab. We are required to do them every 3 years or so. One of the things we're interested in doing, and this will require conversations and feedback from our partners and the communities that we serve. One of the things we're interested in is doing more regional training. And with that training, doing those exercises and tests, right? So that there can be some retention and some practice immediately after folks train. So if we're training a state office and we're training a number of counties in that state, then it makes a whole lot of sense to do a statewide test, for example. If we can do a region, we'll do the region, but we're looking at ways to be flexible. Every 3 years, we will be doing at least one nationwide test. But in the other years that we're not doing that, we're very interested in doing more localized, state level, and regional tests.
Thanks, Manny. Wade, I'll give you the next question. Um, and I just lost it. Here we go. Do you have a sense of whether IPAWS is underutilized by our users? And I think we're just crossed the 1900 users mark. So, what's your general sense of how is IPAWS used?
While we had Rand Corporation on task to do the survey, the survey of the public after the national test in 23. And while we were waiting of approvals, we had them looking at just the distribution of usage across the United States. And we looked at the local level, we looked at lots of stuff, and we decided that and we just did hot zones for where it's used more frequently versus where it's not used as much, and didn't find hardly any consistency. We did see that in some areas, like I'd say actually the West Coast tends to use it a little bit more than the East Coast. Big city areas uh, they're not similar in the way it's used. And so raised more questions than we have for answers. But I think the answer is it's really the decision process and the locality. Maybe it's comfort level. We don't know why, but there's just widespread usage in some places. Some people may think it's overused, and in some places, people may say it's underused. But we didn't really see any consistency and don't have any reasons for that. One thing we did notice, though, is that even for the Weather Service, the usage is different from Weather Service region to Weather Service region. So, there is some autonomy in those weather forecast offices on when they decide to push warnings that would go through IPAWS to wireless emergency alerts, and they did not correlate with the incident of severe weather in each of those regions either. So that's an excellent question. It's something we're very interested in trying to learn more about. My personal thing is I think it may be comfort level, and then maybe it's different areas of the country have the public in those areas, the communities have different expectations. But I'm just making guesses because we don't have any data to support any of that. But very good question, and we're thinking about it.
Hey,
Great, thanks.
Justin,
Yep.
real quick, in accordance to usage of and what we've kind of seen in the state of California is with a lot of folks going to zone-based alerting, which we are now starting to call dynamic alerting. We've seen a large increase in the number of alerts that go out because now people are sending a warning, they're sending an order to evacuate, and then they're sending updates or information that are inside of that. So where we used to see one or two warnings during a particular disaster, it's possible now, based on the number of zones that they have in some of these counties, for us to see anywhere from 12 to 13 for one of those particular incidents. So we've seen a very large increase, and I think it's just the nature of the beast. But I think it's something that's definitely worth a discussion amongst everybody to try to figure out best practices and some lessons learned from what's going on. So I just wanted to bring that up. Thanks.
I'll throw this one out there to anyone that can answer. Is there anything in the works to change the tone of alert on devices for different event codes?
There have been comments filed with the FCC for different, they call it an attention signal. It's a variation of the EAS attention signal. The commission may consider that going forward. Thus far, they haven't been very interested in changing the standard tone because it's a brand. When that sound comes out of your phone that there's an emergency message there. You start making it sound like other things that aren't protected, and it'll get very confusing. There's also discussion of being able to set it so it plays at a lower volume, or set it so that there's no audible alert for certain situations. And it's an ongoing discussion. Your comments are welcome with the FCC on that. They solicit comments. If you feel strongly about it, you can go to the FCC's electronic comment filing system. That's at fcc.gov, and you type in ECFS, and you'll find your way to it. It looks like you have to have an attorney to file comments there, but anybody can put comments in. And sometimes you find some amusing ones, but that proves that anybody can file comments.
But I would
But
also,
informed comments are always welcome.
and I would add to that, to what Al said, is hey, what do we as a emergency managers, public safety alerting authority group want? And I would say copy us, or let us know too what your feelings or what your thoughts are on that. And and we obviously file comments with the FCC. We also have discussions with them in between their comment periods. So I think that's a good question. There's a lot of opinions around it. I think if we can form as a group what it is that we think that what that noise should be on those phones, that'll bring more weight to comment filing to the FCC.
All right, thanks, Wade and Al. Got time for one more question or so. We got a minute left. Manny, you probably can address this. How does accessibility and equity fit into the IPAWS strategic plan moving forward?
Well, Justin, I'm going to ask you a question. It fits well. It has to fit well. Look, we have to be equitable and we have to be fair. And as it exists, it is a bit of a challenge for folks with access and functional needs to receive the full benefit of a public warning. So Hector mentioned ASL earlier. This is an area that we have been actively moving into and looking at technology to help us solve some of this. One of the things that we always grapple with is finding that 100% perfect solution. And quite frankly, that doesn't exist. We are working towards an incremental solution that would allow us as people, as human beings, to catch up with technology and vice versa, right? Technology needs to catch up with the requirement of serving the community with those ASLs. And in order to do that, we might need to use avatar-based animations that can present the information as closely as possible as a human being may, because the human video may take longer to produce to send a viable alert. So we're working with the communities that are deaf and hard of hearing. We're working with others in other areas of concern in access and functional needs to bounce ideas, produce sandboxes, test some of these ideas and these concepts to see how quickly we can bring this out. And we ask everyone on this conference to provide us with some ideas. If you have a best practice that you're using at the local or state level, please let us know. We're looking at everything possible to accelerate the delivery of alerts to access and functional needs communities throughout the country, and also looking at the languages other than English issue as well very actively. So do listen to, maybe we'll be making some announcements in the next 6 or 7 months on some progress there, but we invite your input. We want to have a conversation with you about access and functional needs so that we can get something out there that is viable, that is safe as soon as possible.